Welcome everyone to an exclusive Fighter's Advice interview.
And this is your Fighter's Advice exclusive.
Fighter's Advice exclusive.
Fighter's Advice exclusive.
I had the opportunity to sit down with Junny Ocasio, a multiple-time IBJJF black belt champion, and really pick his brain on his unique mentality for jiu-jitsu on and off the mat. Whether you're a newcomer looking to develop some skills so you don't get overwhelmed by nerves in your first competition, or if you're a seasoned grappler who's experiencing some plateaus and wants to develop some tools to push past those, this interview has something for you. Let's jump right in. This interview is sponsored by Gimme Gummies, the creatine gummies combat athletes can't get enough of. Fuel your performance, recover faster, and dominate your training, all with the convenience of a gummy. They're too tasty to forget. So welcome everyone to today's Fighter's Advice interview with Junny Ocasio. Junny is a black belt under Unity's Murillo Santana, and Junny's a Euros Nogi champion, Pans Nogi champion, and Worlds champion, winning the 3 majors in 2023 and winning Pans and Euros again in 2024. Thank you so much for meeting with me today, Junny. How's it going?
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. Everything's going well. I'm finishing up my day of training and ending the day with you, and then some food, and then I guess some rest.
Awesome, awesome. That sounds great. So this week is your birthday week, correct?
Yes, it is my birthday week.
Happy early birthday. Do you have any fun plans for the week?
Thank you. Well, I did. We celebrated a little bit with some of my students and my friends this past Saturday. It was pretty fun. It was just like some food, low key, just having fun. Broke my rule of like not drinking, so I had like a drink or two, which is like very rare for me. I say like that's the equivalent of somebody like going out. That's my like big hurrah. And then this week is just kind of like full training this week, so I don't really like venture out too much. But I think on my actual birthday, we're gonna go to this place called Double Chicken Please. It's like this like viral place in New York that is actually like it's very hard to get into on the weekend. So I'm going with my girlfriend and we're gonna celebrate my birthday there and have these amazing chicken sandwiches. So that's what I'm gonna look forward to on my birthday.
That sounds amazing. So I also wanted to ask you, you consider yourself a bit of a cinnamon roll enthusiast, correct?
I am a cinnamon roll enthusiast. Yes, I'm an
You're an
expert in that
expert.
area. But not just cinnamon rolls. I'm an expert in sweets, but cinnamon rolls are
Mm.
just what I'm releasing right now.
Okay, I see. So what's on the sweets menu for your special day?
Oh, well, cinnamon rolls are a weekend thing. Almost all, this is a fun fact, most shops or bakeries in the city only do cinnamon rolls on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I
Oh.
will miss that cutoff. But it's not like I haven't tried everyone in the world. So I think we're gonna do like a nice slice of cake. My girlfriend actually bakes and makes cakes, but there's a one shop I like in the city that is like it's cookie dough cake slice, and I think I'm just gonna share a slice with her. It's in the middle of a training week, so we want to like indulge. I want to indulge, but I also don't want to like destroy my body because I still have like another full day of training. So uh, happy medium. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna have like probably a nice cake slice, or a cupcake or something like that, and that'll be the choice for this week. If this was a weekend, it'd probably be like a nice cookie or like or a cinnamon roll for sure.
Wow, okay. This is very thought out. Yeah, I love that. That sounds really good.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. I want to ask, what does a day in the life look like in training when you have like a big competition coming up in terms of balancing like training, nutrition, and recovery?
Yeah, that's like always a big one, right? Like you must understand that not one tournament is the same. So we do our best to mimic everything, but man, sometimes it's just things will change depending on how rested you are, how your body feels, and things like this. So I'll give you what it would be my ideal training for that week. So usually whatever I fight about like I walk around about like 6 to 10 pounds out my weight class, depending on the time of the month or if I time of the year or if I had just fought or if I didn't just fight. So I might be a little heavier. Like for instance, like when I fight again, I'll have to drop a little bit more than I usually do because I already started that process. But usually I'll do a practice cut. I'll do where I just kind of go through those motions and feel what it's like to drop the weight. And then the following week, I will condense some of my training. So I wouldn't do more than 2 sessions a day. So that would condense some of my lifting. I would condense the amounts of sessions, but I would just focus on quality. So I don't believe in like I don't believe in like just like, oh, we're just gonna go light and move around the week of the fight. I know a lot of people like to do that or like to take like a bunch of days off. I don't. I actually like to train all the way through. Um, I just focus on quality. So like instead of doing like an hour and a half training session, I'll focus on like an hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes, but it'll be like fast pace, hard pace, and it'll be like with like, stipulation rounds. And then I will, as soon as that's done, I recover. So like I will have, really clean food. Obviously in that week that I'm fighting, I need to like monitor my stuff. So it's not the most amazing food. It's just kind of food that you're eating, but you wish you had a burger. Um, Stuff like that. And then when I get closer to the fight, it's just every time I get closer, but maybe like 3 days out, 2 sessions, 2 sessions, 2 sessions. 2 days before I would fight, I would condense that to one session. And then I'll just do like one good, great session. And the next day, one good, great session. And then I'll fight. And I always do about 54 minutes the day before I fight to get whatever little sweat out I need, but also like focus on quality and feel the tensioning of my body and keeping that like fire alive. And then I shut it back off. Um, that's usually how my week will go leading into a competition. It's a very hard balance because recovery is part of it. But if you recover too much, you lose the energy to like really explode, right? But if you over explode every day, you have an issue there. You might like exert yourself earlier and not peak during that competition, right? And then you have the mental aspect of it and just keeping your brain intact, like, really focusing on other things. So it's pretty tough. The only fun part about the week I fight is that we don't lift. So like it cuts out a lot and then we get to rest a lot more. So like I pretty much just rest or sleep or do an activity, maybe like steam room or I like to play video games, but mainly I play video games when I'm getting ready to fight. So doing stuff like that like takes my mind off of fighting and it just like kind of makes it fun for me. And then when I'm next day, we're just right back to it.
Right, that makes sense. I'm really glad you brought up like the mental aspect as well, because I remember you mentioned in a previous interview, like on a podcast episode, that you like to shift your mentality away from like drilling and learning and more towards like trusting your jujitsu. I'm wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more on how that's like why you started to do that and how it's changed your mentality in competition.
Yeah, so I started doing that because I am such a technician that I'm hyper focused on every detail of everything when I fight, like everything, every tensioning, every grip, um, what makes this work, the variables that I'm gonna are gonna come at me when I'm fighting. So if I'm passing the guard, I have like ready for like 5 different variations, and same thing with anything I do regarding jiu-jitsu. So it takes a toll on the brain, it takes a toll on your on tensioning, and when you're fighting you cannot be fully present if you're holding on to like trying to be perfect. Unless I'm like I chase perfection. There's a lot of moments that like something goes wrong in the match in the middle of a round, and whatever I get it done, whatever. But I'll fixate on that, and then all of a sudden I'll start drilling that before the competition to like fix it, and then it just really messes with your brain leading into the competition because then you're just like, oh, I gotta fix this, I gotta fix this, I gotta fix this. If it's like 2 weeks out, okay, that's still some time that we can fix some stuff. A week out, little adjustments. They're like, oh, okay, I'll be mindful to not leave my head down or like keep my elbows in. But like huge adjustments, they're just not available in that small time frame. Right? Like I feel like you need to trust your jujitsu. So when I stopped drilling and I would just do everything live, and I stopped like studying because studying 2 weeks out from a competition means like you're trying to like put new information in your brain. And for me personally, that's too close. And it just really conflicts with me just being creative and loving my jujitsu. And it also takes the fun out of training. Like part of it is like we're competing. We do the work every day. If you're doing the work every day, if you do all the training you're supposed to do, and you're doing all the right things, there should be no reason that you can't turn that off and still like perform at your highest. So I think that it conflicts a lot with people, and I see it all the time. They get anxious. I used to do it too. I still get anxious, but I have to trust my jujitsu, and I have to know that like everything I do in a day, all year round, is going to pay off. Because it's second nature. I don't just do it for a week, or I just don't do it for a day. And because of that, I think that like when you take all that stuff out, not only does it leave your creativity intact, but it leaves your battle lust. I love saying battle lust because it's like what I consider myself. Like when I fight or when I train, I get battle lust. Like I enjoy fighting, right? So like you have to remember that. And I think when we get towards competition, we're so worried about winning and losing, we forget like we have to enjoy the process. Like it's a privilege to fight. So I think that for me, shutting all those things out and just letting my mind just let go of everything really like hones in on my jiu-jitsu. Like me drilling and doing all that extra thing is not going to make or break me at this point. It's like the concept of like just being mindful, scoring, being aggressive, and then second nature. So like your jiu-jitsu is not going to disappear if you don't drill in like 4 days. Some people don't drill at all, but towards the end, I mean, I encourage my students not to drill as much towards the competition. Like it just really messes with their brain.
Yeah, yeah, that's such a good point. And I think that like the mentality component of competition is so immensely important. And I think people sometimes get caught up in the but what if this happens? But what if this happens? And you just have to let go and like be confident in the skills that you've retained like throughout the whole time you've been doing jujitsu, not just the past month leading up. Yeah, which is
Yeah,
so
like
true.
that's a perfect example. Like, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if it doesn't happen? You know what I mean? Like sometimes like you like it's funny because now we're going into like the real like spiritual like the universe gives you what you pay attention to. If your focus goes on like I have to watch out, I can't, I'm gonna get tapped by him by footlock if he has really good footlock, and then all of a sudden that becomes true, and then it becomes like something you look for, and then all of a sudden it's not there. I'm not saying that like I look to somebody, I won't be like, oh, he has a good footlock, but I won't fixate on it. I won't be like, oh, like this is all I have to focus on. I kind of just look at them. Okay, they're aggressive. They're either sloppy or they're a technician. They like to pull guard fast or they like to do takedowns fast. Once you do that, it's like that's the main thing you need to know, and then everything else is just fighting. And I think if you like start doing this yourself, you're just gonna the most matches that I've lost or the competitions that I haven't done well in have just been that. Like there's been like fixating on something else, not wanting to be there and forcing myself to fight in a fight I didn't want to fight, and that's where I'll lose. But like anytime I come out and I'm like just paying attention and just embraced in the moment, I always do my best.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's such a good point. I think like on the topic of your mentality going into competitions, I wanted to ask you about you've mentioned that you like to listen to like affirmations and run through affirmations in your head before competitions, like instead of really like listening to music or taking you out of the moment.
Mhm.
What kind of when you write your own affirmations, like what kinds of things do they say, and like how do you feel like that's helped you in competition?
Well, I've been through like three different mental coaches, so I definitely learned the mental side of this stuff. Like it's just repetitive, like, and it's something that you got to flex. So you have to practice that every day. I'm just a person who has been through like so much in my life with my upbringing and a lot of negative self-esteem and depression that like I have to battle those things every day. So it's not just on the mat, it's like every day it has to happen. Like every day I have to start my morning off positive, think of three things I'm grateful for, and then listen to some of my motivational speakers, which I consider like that. Like I don't have a father, I don't have, a mom present. So I really didn't have anything like that growing up. So for me, like when I listen to like, Tony Robbins, Eric Thomas, Les Brown, for me, that's like my family talking to me. It's like what I would consider like my dad, like, like that's what I listen to every day to get me up. And that's like religious with me. I don't really listen to music, especially when I work out. When I work out, most of the time it's just motivational stuff in my head and to keep me going because this grind gets very tiring and it's very hard to stay at the top a level for a long period of time. So I need that every day. When I get ready to fight, a lot of my affirmations are like, very like, I will be present. I'll fight 1 second at a time. I'll focus on the moments and not outcomes. I release the outcome. Uh, I'll focus on 1 second at a time. I'm aggressive and relentless. Um, I'll be present and I'm here for the fight and I love the hunt. Like it'll be very like specific to like that day and just making sure that like all everything starts with the I and it's always, like I'm the best. I believe in my abilities, like just reinforcing those things. And this the difference between other people and other affirmations are just words if there's no actions behind them. But if you're doing your job every day and you're in the gym every day and you train every day and you train all these positions and all these situationals and all this stand up and every aspect of your craft, then when I say those things, they become real because it's like, oh, I'm the best there is. Yes, that's real. Like I believe in myself and my abilities. That's real. I'm relentless and aggressive. That's real. So like that's a really big thing is that like I'm really like the work has to be there to make those affirmations like come true, right? Otherwise, it's just words.
Yeah, no, that's so interesting. I think like after my first competition, I for my second one, I feel like I learned from it and I was like, okay, you need to repeat some things in your head. And so the things that I would repeat would be like, you're not going to get taken down or whatever. And so I think that and it didn't like I didn't feel it so much and I think I didn't realize or make the connection that like those are outcome based things. So I
Yeah.
think that the way you're talking about it seems like a lot more positive and a lot more like within yourself. Like you believe those things and you can't refute them because it's what you know about yourself.
Yeah. Also,
Seems
like,
much more
what belt
effective.
what belt are you right now?
Blue belt.
That's awesome. No, it's good. It's fine. I never like I always had issues when going through the belts. I was always aggressive, always relentless. But as I got older and I kept getting like I started realizing I had a lot of issues and trauma and stuff like this. And this is just for me in general. Some people are get pumped up and they never have an issue. Some people need to like work on it. And so it is a muscle, like being mentally focused in a fight when you're there. So when you think of like um, affirmations, they always have to start with an I. They can't say like you're. No, no. I am not going to get taken down today. Today, I'm not going to get taken down because that power is like in the I, right? Like it's I. It's not
Mm.
like you're like third person. No, you're like when it's like the same way when you imagine a fight in your head. As human beings, we imagine it in third person. You never do this. You imagine it in first person, right? Because that's the way it's going to see for you, and that's what's going to make it real. And in my experience, that helps a lot more. Um, I when you say I, right, like, and you say talk about affirmations and positive, right? You may not get taken down. You may get taken down. You may do this, but when you say I am gonna fight 15 seconds at a time, I will put my effort. I only control my effort and my attitude. That's universal. That's like a true thing. Like you control your effort and your attitude. It's not a lie, right? So you want to be mindful, like I'm not gonna get taken down today, but did you did you work on your takedown defense like every single day, like going into that fight to validate that, right? Otherwise, it's just you saying it to yourself and just being like, "Ah, I'm not gonna get taken down today versus like I've done the work, I'm not going to get taken out today. But I think that when you look at those things, it's not as good as having like I'm aggressive and I'm relentless. I will outwork my opponent. I commit to outworking my opponent. Right. I'm gonna be in his face the whole time. Or I'm gonna focus only on my effort and attitude. I release the outcome. Those are like that changes your whole aspect. I'm grateful and I'm not afraid, right? Like being grateful is like it's very hard to be afraid if you're grateful, right?
That's
Like
so
it's
true.
hard. It's hard. Like you may feel a little bit of both, but like one has to overtake for you to come. So if you give too afraid, you're afraid. And if you're like grateful, like I may be afraid, but I'm more grateful for the opportunity to fight than anything, right? Like so for me when I look at myself and I do any of these championships or the place I'm in, because I work so hard to get there. Like I'm at the Pan Am American 2024 fighting for my second, going after my second. black belt championship for the Pan Am. Wow, I'm so grateful for that. Like not even met, there's such a small window of people that get to even get to a final, let alone fight for it. And so like I think that like I really emphasize like that part of it being like really like excited for it, But I do think that it's a flex, like you have to practice that. Sometimes it's easy to have a good day and like kind of use it and let it like overtake you a little bit. You have a day, but to have consistent mindsets like that every single day, every single practice, every single thing, that takes work.
Right. And yeah, so jujitsu is not easy at all. And as you mentioned, like there's hard days in training and stuff. So like is this something that you've practiced in training as well as like in competition to make it easy for you to access like that
Yeah.
positive mentality?
So I went through so many little things. So me being a pessimist, since I was a pessimist since I was a kid, just because of my upbringing, right? Like I went from like believing I was gonna die at a certain age, and because of a lot of the bad stuff I went through, and it was just being like I'm always cursed, I'm never gonna be happy. To like like I can. That's not true. That's just kind of what I was taught, and that's like not really what it is, right? So that's something I've had to practice, and to be honest, I wish I did it a lot earlier, but I practiced it more in my 30s. So I'm gonna be 36. I look like I'm 27, so don't start. Um, Uh, I started that in my 30s. I wish I started that earlier on, and I was able to like fight that a little earlier. But in my 30s, I had to do it a lot, right? Um, it's just because there's so many things that can happen. Like, how many times have you been around and like you get into around and somebody catches you, somebody sweeps you, or they catch you a bunch of times and like get so angry, and it's just like, yeah, that's that you should not be happy about it, but also like, are we gonna we're so angry that we're so blind to like what happened during that round. Like, okay, you did this and this happened and they did something right, you did something wrong, you need to fix this. And that's more what you need to focus on more than like I suck. You know what I mean? Because like
Yeah.
that's usually what happens. Like I suck. Like I didn't fight in the world championships this year and I was like, I suck. You know what I mean? Like I didn't fight, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. What's some champion I am, right? Like but that's not true. Like shit happens, life happens. Sometimes you just does the cards get played the way they get played, and you have to practice this every day. Like I'll be in the gym and I'm the most perfectionist person you'll find. If I get outpointed, if I get tipped the wrong way, if I go back and I figure it out every day, like very quickly. I adapt quick. But I do find sometimes you get frustrated, you get exhausted. So like usually if I get like crazy like that about anything, it could be jujitsu, about anything. It's very important for me to take a step back and not think about it and not assess it until my anger leaves because I'm not thinking logical, right? And that's the problem. Is like sometimes it's like some people could just be positive all the time. Some people need like a little break, and then you just gotta like, okay, I need to take. I'm emotional right now, and I'm not looking at the situation like this, and I need to be okay with that. And then like there's also the aspect of like jujitsu is not perfect. Like you can't. Everybody's different. People move a different way. If you train with your training partners, they should be figuring you out and getting better and trying to like do better things. And scrambles that you like got out of, like if I get out pointed for like a second or like end of a bad position, it is an opportunity to work out a bad position. It's not necessarily like, oh, I suck. It's just like I messed up. They took advantage of it, and now I can find my way out of this position. When I started thinking like that, it definitely changed the way I looked at jujitsu and just kind of everything in life. It is hard, but like it's something you put into practice every single day. And I used to do as far as like taping my fingers. So anytime I get frustrated or I get nervous during like pro training rounds, the tape would symbolize that like I would trust my jujitsu, right? Like just to trust myself, So like I look at my hands and trust myself, and then like I'll practice my breathing and just remember like I like um uh, I uh, I inhale like belief and I exhale doubt, you know? Inhale confidence, exhale doubt. So like even those little things like yeah, and you're just like, okay, it's fine, right? So like, but that's every day. That's every day and it never stops. And not like it's not like a trajectory where it just goes up. there are days where there are months where I'm fucking mentally like sound, and there's months where like I'm like the most like depressed person, and I just have to like practice that every day. But the main things, like anything, right? Like you got to work out when you're tired, but you got to do like the mental work when you're tired. So even if you're pissed off and you don't want to listen to those affirmations, you got to listen to those affirmations. So it's definitely a muscle to flex, and it definitely takes a lot of effort that I think that a lot of athletes don't really do.